Hey y'all, welcome back. As you can see today we'll be drawing Ninja Turtle. This one isn't specific to who it is, because back in the day in those, early 80s, they all had red bandanas. This is actually probably one of my favorite characters or my favorite series, Ninja Turtles. Had to go back into the comic book case and pull out one of my favorite covers. Of course, you can see Shredder, one of the turtles, and some of the turtles back here. This is actually the first time you see Shredder on the cover. So this is of course number 10. Anything 1 through 5, kind of pricey, as you guys know if you collect. But try to draw this thing right here. This section of the comic book, but just mainly to give you an idea how to put together a Ninja Turtle. If you have this or if you find this image somewhere, feel free to continue on to whatever part of the comic book that is. But our main focus today is going to be the turtle. Let's knock it out. Again, marker. Love using it. Use what you have. Pencil, pen. If you're just starting out, pencil works the greatest because of course you can erase it. And I'm gonna try to draw it here without having to do that, without messing it up. So let's get into it. As always, I start with the eyes. These eyes that you have is just, of course, no pupils. Just kind of like a white, section in the bandana there that you can see his eyes. But let's get started. Let's start with that right eye. As you can see, it's not your normal shaped eye here, of course, because it's behind a bandana, and he looks pretty mad. So that's one. Let's move over to the next one, say about here, good distance. This one, of course, gonna be a little bit bigger because it's closer to us. As you can see that it's kind of like maybe like a diamond shape, right? So what I'll do now is I'll come back over to this right side, and then I'll draw that bandana in. See, it's a little scrunched up, give it a little bit of effect, Come back over here, say about here, right? Then I'll draw a line here to connect to this other side. So draw a line there. Okay, it's kind of high here, and it kind of comes down to meet the other end over here, right? And then down here it starts kind of low, and then it probably meets it like somewhere about, say, right there. So kind of high here, kind of back down and up, sorry, right? And then it'll go probably about, let's just say about here. So let's just go here for time's sake, right? And then just connect that, right? And then of course it looks like it's tied up pretty tight. Again, this is sketched by or drawn by Kevin Eastman and Mr. Laird. So that is your band there. So now we'll move on to the top of his head. Let's just put his head, say, somewhere right around. Okay, we'll get an idea from the band is. So let's just draw a line here, and then I guess the other line here. So now we gotta find a good spot, or we can just come around and connect it all. Good luck. Decent. Okay, now we'll move on to his face here, down to his teeth, his grin. If you want to do this in pencil, I'm sorry, because you may have to erase it, come back to it. You may not like it, so you can always start up here, come around, and then do that, right into his mouth line there. But I think I'm going to start here. I'm going to put a little reference point, say about right here. I think I'm going to carry that here. I'm going to bring it down again. And then over here, I'll come back over here. Kind of get an idea of that shape he has on his front face. So Let's go here. Too late. I'm already invested in that line, right? So go there. Okay. And this may not look the best, but like I said, pencil, eraser, do it all over again. Okay. Now for his bottom lip here, just a little bit here, kind of goes up here, you know, right? And then the back side of his mouth, right? Kind of goes down. Then it kind of meets here, right? Doesn't look like much right now, but once we start coloring and shading, it'll look a lot better. Okay, back of his jaw here. We'll have, say, a little line here, right? And then, as you can see in the comic book here, the furthest edge of his mouth, right here, right? And then you have the furthest edge to his jaw. It's right above that. So it's not right next to it, but above. So that's what we're gonna try to replicate. Goes down, a little bit out. Remember, we wanna go right about there, right? And then I'm gonna continue this line here, bottom of the lip, come around there, same. And it may come down a little bit further here, right? Then I'll continue that line around, right? Little square jaw, right? Okay, so let's draw his teeth in. So you can go in your picture and count the teeth up. Probably about 6 or 7 teeth. I'm gonna try my best here, up top, and then I'm gonna move to the bottom. Okay, so start here. It's like little clouds. Have you ever drawn clouds this way? Right, and they kind of get bigger as you go. Right? Probably not the best, but we'll keep them. There, 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 there. Okay, looks bad now, but once we start shading in, we can kind of fix those as we go. Okay, so let's move back up to the bandana. Do some shading. A little shade there, shade here, around this bandana there. Got to thicken up some lines here on the edge. You can, and then we'll add a little bit of character here to his eye, a little feeling, a little emotion. And then we'll come back over here, right? Same up here. If you have the image, just follow along and kind of do your own thing in a way. More shading back here. If you have a marker, a lot easier to do it this way. Just put down that edge and just kind of, right? And then of course he has some up here on top of his head, so we'll just outline that again. Say it about there. And then just kind of do the same thing. It's not going to be exactly like the way I'm teaching you, but it's good enough, I guess. Right? So we're going to do the same thing to his face here, and then we'll move on to his teeth. Give a little bit of space there, give it some light. A bit darker here. That'll probably go to about here. Marker's not doing so well. Need another one. We'll get there. You don't want hard lines around your shadows. So especially here. Depending on the style of the comic or whatever you may be drawing, maybe hard shadows, but not here. Okay. Okay. To make sure that we have the right thickness on a lot of this stuff. Right over here, you can probably see that he has, his bandana and then his shell. So I think his shell may be starting there, right? So that'll be all kind of dark. You probably can't see too much from where I have the camera, but and then that will be shaded. So continue on, depending on how big your paper you have, your poster, whatever it may be. Feel free to draw the rest of this comic book cover. Don't stop if you want to keep going. I mean, just because I stopped doesn't mean that you got to. So just going to start filling this in. These crazy teeth. Good thing about this is that you could always shrink his teeth, just by taking that line a little bit higher. Right. I want to thicken this line a little bit. Right. Not too bad. Okay. And then get portion of his neck here. And then you may have bottom side of this shell here. Then the ridges from the back side that's coming through, right? And then of course this side it does also. So from here to here. Just imagine it coming around here. Right. A lot of this here is also shaded, but I'll shade that with a different marker. Okay, so let's grab this black marker. Make it easy work. Right. Makes easy work of it. Back over here. Back over here. There's a lot of shading around his face. Right. I might just go back here just so I can match. Match the same. Right. Then down here, his neck. Got a little more shading. This one you gotta be, depending on what kind of marker you're using. It's gonna be a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. Not so much pressure on it when you're kind of doing this motion. As you can see there. See over here. Okay. That would be the top of his shoulder here, so of course a lot of shading again, and then this would be part of his chest, right? And over here, part of his shoulder, so okay. And I'm not going to carry this drawing up too much further from here just because it's shredder on this part. I only wanted to focus on this. So, oh, let's continue with the black actually. Let's outline that his chest a little bit here, a little bit shading. And then we'll do the same over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Let's get some gray in those eyes. Just right around the edge right there. And do a little bit here. And we'll do the same thing with the teeth. Do that top part. It's kind of like a little shadow thing. Right? We'll do over the top of those teeth. Right? And then let's see what I have. Let's try to give it his chest piece a little bit of color. That might be too bright. Let's see what else I have. Let's try this. That's a little bit better. Right? Let's try some green for his face. See what I have here. Let's test it out on that shell. Yeah, that'll work. That shell, and then let's move it to his neck. Right? Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Forgot to finish filling this in. There you go. Shoulder, shell, let's put a little bit more of this here. A little bit more of this here. Okay. Now let's move on to his head here. Alcohol markers work the best. Makes short work of it all. Okay. Just be careful around those edges. Again, if your black is wet, just be careful with going over it as it can darken up your light colors. So it doesn't look too empty. Okay. now we can move on to his bandana. And again, all of these bandanas were red. Start with the lighter one, see how that looks. Let's try a darker one, see how that looks. Oh, it's maybe a little too. I think we'll go with this one. That so go back and fill in all those areas that you may have missed. Oh, you can leave them. And then you can also always give it a once over with that black again. If you like, just to brighten it up a little bit or darken up those areas that you went over with the green. So there you go, y'all. My version of TMNT number 10. First appearance of Shredder on a cover. Decent. Well, that's all we got. See you guys next time. Let me know what you guys want to see. And then I'll be sure to read those comments and get it on paper. All right. See you.